Have you ever caught the way he looks at you when he thinks you're not paying attention? That subtle spark in his eyes, the gentle shift in his tone that only comes out when he speaks to you. These tiny moments reveal far more than any words ever could. Thoughtful. The truth of the heart often slips past the mind. Even if his speech is measured, his inner self has already made a choice, and that choice is you. Sometimes the man who seems confusing with his mixed signals is actually feeling far more than he knows how to express. Carl Jung said that our deepest emotions exist beneath the surface, revealing themselves through behaviors we don't consciously plan. Sighs. When a man senses something profound in you, his body reacts before his mind can even catch up. Silence doesn't always mean disinterest. Often, it's the weight of emotions too strong to put into words. True love rarely announces itself with grand gestures or dramatic displays. Instead, it transforms his inner world quietly and powerfully in ways he might never voice, but you can feel it. The man whose actions swing between sudden closeness, thoughtful attention, or brief distance is often already more attached to you than he can admit. Love doesn't always follow reason or explanation. It arrives softly, like a whisper, through dreams, fleeting glances, or the subtle energy that changes around you. Jung explained that what remains unconscious guides our destiny. The same is true in love. Even if he hasn't fully recognized his feelings, his soul is already moving toward you. So how can you truly tell when he's in love? The signs aren't in texts or cliches, they're in the quiet, unguarded shifts of his behavior, the small but meaningful ways his inner world lights up simply because you're near. Many people wait for grand declarations, sweeping promises, or dramatic emotional confessions, and in doing so, they miss the real proof. Real evidence lives in the subtle rearrangements of his emotional landscape when you enter his life, often unnoticed by him. Jung taught that love isn't a choice of the mind. It's the recognition of the heart. It comes unexpectedly, breaking through defenses and revealing the most genuine parts of ourselves. The proof of his love is woven into the unconscious, expressed in gestures, glances, and energies that can't be faked. Pay attention to these signs because they tell the truth about what his heart already knows, long before words ever do. Open your awareness just a little wider and let your intuition, sensitivity, and quiet intelligence guide you as you notice these signs. If you catch him doing even one of these subtle things, if you've observed him responding in these ways, it's likely he feels far more than he can express in words. When a man is deeply touched by a woman who awakens something inside him, his behavior shifts in ways he can't always explain. The first sign shows in the way his attention changes, not in a dramatic or performative way, but gently, naturally, and sincerely. He notices the small things others overlook, senses when something is off even if you insist you're fine, or comments on a tiny change in your expression or voice. These reactions aren't calculated. They come from a deeper emotional place that recognizes you. He remembers details you've shared, checks in unexpectedly, or appears when you feel alone, not out of routine, but because something inside him is drawn toward you. You'll also notice that his energy changes when you're near. Some men act the same with everyone, but a man quietly falling in love becomes subtly different with the one who touches him. He may soften, become more open, or even show hints of nervousness or clumsiness. True love doesn't perfect a man, it uncloses him, making him more human, more authentic, more present. If he lowers his guard only with you, if his silences feel comfortable rather than awkward, then what you're witnessing is deeper than casual interest. Jung taught that the soul protects what it loves. If he cares for you in ways he can't fully explain, he will start showing concern for your comfort and safety, reminding you to rest, eat well, travel carefully, or check in when you get home. These gestures aren't about control or proving anything. They stem from an unconscious sense of responsibility, as if your well-being is quietly tied to his own balance. He may never say, "I love you," but his protective actions speak volumes. Deep emotion always reveals itself in what he cannot hide, in the things he does without thinking, in the moments that slip beyond control. Often, a man's soul loves you long before his mind admits it, long before he finds the courage to speak, and long before he fully understands the significance of the connection. Look closely, and you'll see his feelings in the small, involuntary ways he reaches for you again and again, when that quiet devotion appears, caring without expecting anything in return, without seeking praise or attention. It's a sign that something profound has already welcomed you into the most private parts of his world. His heart has chosen you, even if his words have yet to catch up, even if he doesn't put his feelings into words, even if he hasn't fully understood them himself, and even if he tries to hide them. His inner being has already connected with yours in a way that transcends logic. If these signs resonate with you, don't dismiss them. His lack of clear expression doesn't diminish the depth of what's happening inside him. What's stirring within is far stronger, far more profound, and far more meaningful than his outward actions might suggest. Pay close attention, because the next layer reveals even deeper signs, those that appear only when a true bond exists between two souls. Sometimes he doesn't need to speak at all. His energy communicates more than words ever could. His presence answers the questions he can't voice. Maybe he hasn't said he loves you or made any grand promises, but the way he looks at you, the subtle shifts in his breathing, the closeness he allows without forcing conversation, all of it speaks volumes. That silence isn't empty, it's connection, a wordless understanding between you. When a man feels more than he admits, his body reveals it before his mind does. Watch how he reacts when others talk about you. If someone praises you, notice the light in his eyes, the quiet smile he tries to hide. If someone criticizes you, see how he stiffens or becomes alert. Love doesn't need conscious acknowledgement to protect what it values. Instinct acts before thought. Jung explained that the unconscious moves in its own rhythm, often before we can name our emotions. If he reacts instantly when you're mentioned, defending you, showing curiosity, or simply glancing your way, it's because a part of him has already decided you are important. Another sign is effort. A man who genuinely cares shows it in subtle ways, listening intently, remembering tiny details you've shared, adjusting his plans to make room for you, or offering sincere apologies when he feels he could have been better. This quiet effort is far more revealing than any romantic speech. Those who feel nothing don't change anything. Those who love, even silently, unconsciously begin to create space for you in their life. Here's something often overlooked. When a man is truly moved by your presence, he changes even when you're not there. His routines shift, his thoughts scatter or grow more reflective, and his energy subtly transforms. He may appear distracted, restless, or unusually thoughtful without knowing why. Something inside him has awakened, and you occupy those quiet spaces of his mind that were once empty. Jung spoke of the power of internal symbols, figures that enter our inner world and reshape it, even without physical presence. You have become one of those symbols for him. Even if he doesn't speak it, even if he tries to hide it, even if he denies it when asked, you already inhabit a space in him that no one else holds. This is why his surface behavior can't fully define his feelings. What you see outwardly is only a fraction of the love already growing inside. Many men remain silent not because they don't feel deeply, but because translating the language of the soul into simple words can be almost impossible for them. This is where your awareness becomes powerful. You can sense what he cannot yet articulate, what even he hasn't fully realized, that his heart made a choice long before his mind caught up. Stay with me, because there are still more subtle signs that reveal this quiet but profound love, and once you understand them, the full picture becomes clear, a picture that can transform the way you perceive love forever. When love begins to grow inside a man, it isn't dramatic or flashy. It's slow, gentle, almost invisible at first, yet it reshapes him from the inside. You'll notice it in how he releases old patterns, letting go of distance, avoidance, or rigid independence, opening up little by little to make space for someone else. He does this not as a sacrifice, but because a deeper part of him senses a new reality forming. Pay attention if he starts sharing pieces of his life that he's never revealed before. Not trivial stories, but the fragments of himself, his fears, past mistakes, private dreams, and memories he rarely discusses. When a man reaches this level of openness, he shows himself without a mask, not to impress, not to seem strong, but because he finally feels safe enough to be vulnerable. At that moment, it's no longer about winning approval or maintaining an image. It's about surrender. Even subtle, this surrender signals that something inside him has already changed permanently. Jung said the soul needs a mirror to truly know itself, and with your presence, you become that mirror. Through you, he begins to see the parts of himself he ignored, the tenderness he didn't recognize, the gentleness he didn't know he could express. This shift isn't planned, it unfolds naturally, effortlessly, as if your presence awakens a version of him that had quietly slept inside. Notice how he responds to your emotions. Not everyone can navigate another's emotional depth. Some withdraw, some grow distant, but a man truly connected to you harmonizes with your feelings almost unconsciously. If you're joyful, he feels lighter. If your mood changes, he becomes alert even without understanding why. If sadness touches your voice, he feels unsettled. He may not always ask, "Are you okay?" But you'll see it in how he watches you, in how his tone softens, in how he moves subtly closer. This instinctive care, even without the right words, is one of the purest forms of unspoken love, and it reveals itself especially when you're not there. Notice how he behaves in your absence, bringing up your name, saving stories to share later, thinking of you first during important moments. If you remain present in his private thoughts, even when no physical presence triggers it, it shows you're already rooted inside him. What exists in silence often speaks louder than words. Real love rarely begins with statements. It starts with signs, the subtle, unconscious shifts the soul makes when it recognizes another soul. There comes a stage when he begins to need your presence, not as routine, not for entertainment, but as emotional grounding. He may not say it aloud, but you can feel it in how he grows quieter, slightly impatient, or unsettled when he hasn't heard from you. You notice how he reappears just in time, as if something inside won't let him drift too far. These small unconscious behaviors reveal the depth of his attachment long before he can consciously admit it. The signs are all around you. They're in his energy, his attention, his care, and the subtle ways he begins to include you in the private spaces of his life. Love often whispers first before it shouts, and these quiet, powerful signals are the proof. He finds ways, even small ones, to reconnect with you because being near you gives him a sense of balance he doesn't fully understand. This isn't obsession or dependence. It's a genuine connection that moves beyond logic. Jung explained that the unconscious is not bound by reason or time, and when real emotion emerges there, it begins to influence decisions, reactions, and impulses. One of the clearest signs is how he starts valuing your opinion, even in areas that don't directly involve you. Maybe he shares his future plans just to hear your thoughts, or adjusts something in his life because your reaction matters. He isn't trying to impress. You can see he's slowly letting you in. Another sign is the way he shares his fears, doubts, and uncertainties. Not because he expects you to fix anything, but because he feels safe. In showing this depth, he crosses the line from mere affection into meaningful attachment. The clearest proof of this attachment shows in how he begins imagining the future with you. It's subtle. Small phrases like, "Someday I want to go here," or "One day I'd like to try that." But between the lines, you're already included. He sees you as part of his long-term life, not as a temporary presence. These glimpses are windows into his unconscious mind. Without pressure or demand, his soul reveals itself through gestures, attention, and consistent energy that naturally lean toward you. He doesn't need to declare love. His unconscious is already speaking. When the soul chooses someone, everything else becomes a matter of time. If you watch closely, you can perceive with your heart what his mind hasn't yet dared to say. When a man starts seeing you as someone he doesn't want to lose, his inner world subtly reorganizes around you, forming a space where he instinctively wants you to stay. You notice it in how he begins giving you priority, even on busy or difficult days, not out of obligation, but because he genuinely doesn't want the connection to fade. Being near you, even without words, gives him peace. And peace is one of the quietest but most powerful indicators of love. True love isn't only butterflies or excitement. It's the calm, transformative energy Jung described, where someone feels safe to be imperfect and still accepted. When he starts to feel that emotional home with you, another subtle change emerges. He naturally aligns with you without expectation or prompting. He may enjoy what you enjoy, show curiosity for your thoughts and dreams, and subtly integrate your world with his own. Jung said when two souls resonate, inner walls soften, and it is here, in this gentle opening, that real intimacy is formed, beyond desire or attraction, in the quiet sense of belonging. Even in your absence, he continues to reveal his feelings. When your name comes up in conversations, he instinctively stands on your side, defends you, and protects what he has begun to cherish, not for recognition, not for praise, not for reward, but because something deep within him values you. Real love doesn't always need loud declarations. It shows itself in these quiet, consistent ways, through protection, attention, presence, and the inner alignment that grows without fanfare. When you see these signs, you're witnessing the soul choosing you before the mind has even caught up. Sometimes love doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or loud confessions. It shows up in quiet ways, in small actions, in choices made without fanfare, and in moments no one else notices. That type of love, the one that protects silently, is often the strongest. If you see him adjusting his habits without realizing it, caring for you in unnoticed ways, or thinking of you before making decisions that shape his life, don't overlook it. You are witnessing an emotional truth that even he may not fully comprehend. This is where the purest love lives, untouched by fear, unshaped by past pain, beyond the logic of the mind. When you notice these subtle shifts, how he changes quietly, how his attention and everyday behaviors speak louder than words, you are seeing love that has already chosen you, even if he hasn't yet put it into language. True love doesn't always arrive dramatically. It often comes in steady presence, gentle protection, small attentions, and a tenderness that never demands notice. When a man is more in love than he realizes, his heart has already made a choice, even if his mind is still catching up. Jung taught that the unconscious never lies. Deep within, our emotions and actions reveal the truth before we consciously understand it. If you recognize these signs, if you feel that connection, trust it. What the mind calls confusion is often just the soul trying to interpret what it already knows. Real love is the quiet resonance between two hearts that choose each other naturally in ways that logic cannot explain. It is shown in the subtle blending of priorities, the energy that shifts around you, the vulnerability he allows without pretense, and the way he rearranges his inner world to include you. When a man shows these quiet signs, near or far, when his energy moves toward you, when he opens himself without forcing it, that is the love that exists before words are spoken. Trust the intuition inside you that has been noticing these moments all along. It senses truths the mind cannot yet grasp. In the space between feeling and speaking, between the conscious and unconscious, the deepest truths emerge. Sometimes the heart recognizes its path long before the mind even realizes the journey has begun. If you've seen these signs, felt these subtle shifts, then know this: his soul has already admitted what his voice has yet to say. He is far more in love with you than he even understands. We will see each other in the next.